Monday devotion, Simpsonville, South Carolina. And the word is anger. Is it found in the Bible? You bet it's found in the Bible. I mean, it's found all through the Bible, from the book of Genesis to the book of Revelation. It is there everywhere. And of course, we know there's two types of anger. There's righteous anger, as Jesus had when he cleared the temple because it was being made into a thieves' den. And there's unrighteous anger. Anger that gets out of control, anger that becomes sin. I saw an interesting quip recently on the internet. It said there are 320 million people in the United States. Let's think about that for a minute. 320 million people in the United States. 7.2 billion people in the world. 7.2 billion people in the world. And you're letting one of them cause you to be angry, to upset you, to cause you frustration. That's silly, isn't it? 7.2 billion people, and you let one of them make you really mad. Well, it's a deadly sin. There's a lot of deadly sins. Now, God doesn't grade on a curve. We're all sinners, and he doesn't say, well, this sin is going to keep you out of heaven and this one's not going to keep you out of heaven. He says they're all bad. Will we be judged by the vileness of our sin? Probably so. There's probably levels of punishment and levels of reward in heaven based on sin and works. It doesn't get you into heaven, doesn't keep you out of heaven, but it does cause you to be evaluated according to your righteousness and your unrighteousness, not to keep you in or out, because Christ paid the price for all your sin. So what are some of those deadly sins? I mean, there's been stories about the 7 deadly sins, and I preached a message one time on it. As a matter of fact, I think you can find it in podcasts on iTunes, and you can also find it in my sermon.net file. But all sin is deadly. Let me just tell you the most common. Pride, we all struggle with that. Covetousness, we all struggle with that. We see somebody has a nice boat, nice car, nice house, nice wife, nice husband, good children, bad children. We covet. We covet. We fight it, but we covet. And then there's lust. I mean, I remember my father in his upper 70s still was quite lustful and still very much alive in the area of romanticism and lust. And my wife watched him one day and said, "There's no hope for me. I married into a family that probably is going to always be one that is romantic and lustful." We struggle with pride, covetousness, and lust. But there's one that I think we all struggle with even more than all of those, and that's anger. And it's funny because anger runs such an incredible degree of difference. There's an emotion or a resentment that's in our body that goes anywhere from just displeasure to rage. As a matter of fact, I preached a message one time, from annoyance to arsenic. What does that mean? Well, sometimes our anger is just kind of an annoyance to us, as we might find in Haman and Esther chapter 3, verse 10. And then there's arsenic, like we find in Genesis 4, 3 through 5, when Cain's anger becomes so great that he kills his brother Abel. It was arsenic. It was killing. It was death. As a matter of fact, today in the newspaper it said that South Carolina was first. Not first in a lot of things that you might be thinking. It was first in males killing females. Well, why do you think they did that? Because of anger. I would suggest that probably the vast majority of those murders of males killing females was over anger. It's really quite interesting because if you look back at the story of Cain and Abel and you see how Cain's anger got out of control, God warned him before he even killed his brother. He said, Cain, your countenance is all messed up. And it says sin is crouching at your door. Think about that for a minute. When anger becomes arsenic in your life, or even something in between annoyance and arsenic, sin is crouching at your door. And that's why the verse that I want you to memorize today is found in Ephesians 4:26. Be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. What does that mean? Well, it's okay to be angry. It is a human emotion, but we need to keep it in perspective. Remember the original opening? 1 out of 7,200,000,000 upsets you so bad that you might sin. One person out of 7.2 billion. Be angry, but don't sin. Take it to God. Put it in perspective. Is this really worth getting so upset about? Is it bothering the person that made me angry for me to be angry, or is it bothering me? The truth of the matter is, most of the time, the person that made us angry could care less. It's we that are paying the price. Do not sin. And then deal with it. Don't let the sun go down on it. Deal with it and put it in perspective and realize you can give it to God. God searches the hearts and the minds. Every person is going to be held accountable for what they do. It doesn't mean it's going to stop them from going to heaven, but they're going to be held accountable for it. And we all need to be sure that we remember this verse, Ephesians 4:26. Be angry, but don't sin, and don't let the sun go down on your anger. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.